Right, it's time now for our fourth and final speakers of the evening. Comprised of Davis Ngarupe and JP Haynie, Actual Source is a Utah-based design studio that's built a worldwide reputation. Together and with their community of collaborators, they design across a spectrum of visual communication. And in recent times, they've become just as well known for their publishing imprint and their shop as well. Through this aspect of their practice, Davis and JP collaborate with contemporary artists, designers, and writers to publish limited edition books, fonts, clothing, objects, you name it. I'm delighted to say that they're joining us today, and we're just going to have a bit of a chat really about their work, their creative practice, and what they're working on now. So Davis and JP, please turn on your audio and video when you can. Hello there.
Hello.
Greetings.
Greetings. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, going well. Thank you.
Fun listening to everybody.
Yeah, feeling pumped now.
Yeah, I was saying before that you're, I think, the first speakers we've ever had at Nice Tuesdays from Utah, and I hope not the last. But yeah, it's quite a thing. So I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm keen to kind of get stuck into some questions that I have. But if the chat is up and working for people, please do put some more questions in there, and I'll try and add them to the list as well as we go. But first off, I think it might just be good to give our audience a little bit of a background, a potted history of you guys and your working relationship, really. You kind of went to different colleges, but you still maintained a friendship and exchanged thoughts on design over email and the phone. Is that a fair summary?
Yes. But Matt, hang on. We wanted to introduce Katrina, who works with us.
Yeah, would it be fair
please
to talk about all our work? Katrina's been working with us.
This is Katrina
for about 5 years.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Friend. And so we wanted to kind of shout her out really quick before we keep going. So
amazing. Oh, hi Katrina. Yeah, nice to see you. I'm sure everyone at home is also saying hi as well. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to start with that, I guess, a bit of a potted history of how you guys met and how that working relationship started, really.
So I moved to Utah for college, actually, when I was back in 2004, and JP and I, we met like the first week I came out here. We were with the same group of friends, and we were both roommates with a guy named Barty Halidi, who introduced us to graphic design, and that was kind of like the beginning of our interest in graphic design. I ended up going to a school in LA, and JP went to school in Utah. And we kind of just kept in contact and went back and forth with projects that we had in school, and then our interests like actually just like were very similar, and we built them alongside each other.
Yeah, Davis's education was like different from mine. Mine sort of centered like along the lines of more American style graphic design, which is really kind of based in illustration. And I'm not an illustrator by any means, and so kind of opened my eyes to like, no, you can have a career in graphic design, you know, by pursuing typography and books. And we really kind of came together talking about books.
Yes, separately, we were both had a strong interest in books before school, during school, sorry. And then once we started working together, it was kind of one of the things that got us to start working on projects together.
Right.
I moved here after school, and I got a job at a tech company where we hired JP on while he was in school. We worked there for a few years. We left there, worked for another company remotely in Utah together. Then we left that about 5 years ago and started Actual Source.
Gotcha.
So we've been together since 2013.
Never not worked together. It's pretty nice.
That's great. Yeah, I should say as well, we're going to be watching kind of a slideshow of amazing work kind of up on the screen as we talk, and this kind of really shows you, I guess, the audience. Yeah, it shows the audience a bit of the breadth of stuff that you've worked on over the years, which is amazing. But going back to kind of the early years, I mean, it seems to me like that exhibition you did at Yumoka in 2015, that felt like a very big turning point for you as a studio. I mean, why do you think that was such a defining moment? I guess that was like a couple of years after you'd started working together.
Yeah, so I think originally, you know, when they approached us to do a show, they gave us a healthy amount of time. So we had 6 months to kind of really explore. We spent 6 months putting together a process book for the show. And during this time, working together, sitting side by side every single day, talking about what we're going to do, ideas. And I think this show sort of was the catalyst for us to develop our own vocabulary, or kind of identify what our like mutual interests were, and then visually kind of how we wanted to proceed.
Yeah, and it was also like not just our vocabulary, but also like help redefine like the way we would work together, kind of in the future. It was like the beginning. It was the first big project we kind of did together. We'd done some small books and stuff previous, but this was like the first big project we had done together.
We still kind of draw on that show from time to time now, even just some things that we did then.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's also where the name Actual Source comes from, I think, isn't it? Because before that you were called Number 4, and then Actual Source came from that exhibition. But I'm not sure where the name comes from. Why did it strike such a chord with you guys?
So we were called Number 4 because we met in 2004, and we also sort of felt like it was cool, like it was a jersey number or something.
Right.
Yeah. And the domain was available. So
and we got a domain.
Crucial.
Yeah, but Actual Source sort of so without going too deeply into the show, because it would take a while to explain, but essentially we spent 6 months working on this process book, and then we decided to make works based on this book as an object, so the sort of like a sculpture. And so each move we made was sort of like a distortion from the original idea or the contents in the book. We never showed the inside of the book at all. We still never shown it. Here's actually good timing. There's the book right there.
The foredge.
The foredge, yeah. So we never showed that. So Actual Source as a name came about from like these layers of distortion that we were adding. So we would take a photograph, or we'd put the book in a bag, and then we'd photograph that, and then we would we framed it, but we separated the image into 2 different frames. And so it's sort of like adding layers of distortion and separation from the actual source of the work.
Yeah, so we were named Number 4, and it just kind of made sense. We liked the name Actual Source. That was the name of our store at the time as well, because coming from the show, and it made sense for us to kind of just go completely under the name Actual Source.
Makes sense. Well, it's a great name. Yeah. I guess like over the years since then, I guess you've kind of grown Actual Source to incorporate so many different outputs, which, as we're seeing on screen, there's clothing, there's products, there's exhibitions, there's obviously publications as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But was that always the plan for you guys, to create this kind of hybrid, multifaceted studio, or did that just kind of happen fairly naturally as you met people and collaborated with different people?
I definitely don't think it wasn't our plan. We've always had a lot of interest, but it was something that kind of came naturally for us.
Yeah, like I think we took a lot of inspiration from people like Etudes, who are able to incorporate all of their interests into one sort of avenue. And I think we kind of felt like if it's of interest to us, we will pursue it, and it can fit under this umbrella because it's for us. And so, I think that's kind of been the idea. And then also, as a way of sort of creating the work we want to create, so like originally we wanted to work in designing books. And so we decided to start publishing our own we kind of just started to find these different projects, pursue them, put our money behind them, and then release them as a way of kind of putting out our interests into the world.
Somehow share them so someone could see what the work that we were doing out here in Utah. We didn't know how to get our work out there other than make our work and share.
I mean, it seems amazing to me, and I'm sure people will agree, it feels like so much of what you guys have achieved has been kind of self-initiated from the start. I think, lots of people feel like they get led by what client work comes in, and that's kind of what they end up doing. But you guys have really kind of taken yeah, I guess like taken the lead and done things that you are interested in first and foremost, and then that's kind of grown, I guess, as the studio's grown. But I guess where do you think that freedom comes from? I'm sure people want to know like how they get a bit more freedom in terms of what they end up doing. Do you just have to kind of invest in making time for it, I guess?
There's definitely that investment that needs to come in. I don't actually feel like we have tons of freedom. We have to like really set aside time to work on these projects that
we have a bad lifestyle, man. we're very busy. It's hard to find time to do the things you want to do. Not a bad lifestyle. It's just, sort of exhausting. But
yeah, we really have to find the time and devote the time to work on it, especially as shoplifters.
But as far as like doing projects for yourself, I mean, for some reason in school that's like not seen as a valid thing. You go to try to get a job and people are like, well, yeah, you did this project for yourself, but you didn't do this for a client, so how can I know? But I actually feel like it takes quite a bit of discipline to create your own projects. It's definitely how you learn, and establishing your own practice, finding your interests and pursuing, putting your time and energy into something that you love is never wasted, I don't think.
Also, look, we've always wanted to make books. Like since the beginning, since we were in school, we loved making books. But in order to make books, you have to have a reputation of someone who knows how to make books, knows how to, there's a lot that goes into designing a book and getting the book actually produced and a nice final product. And so I feel like we're still learning, and it's something that the only reason we're getting book projects is because we've done so many of our own book projects and then gotten other book projects. Therefore, we're becoming better at making books.
Yeah. And
we're also like asking a lot of our favorite designers questions that, like, obviously we don't know everything about making books. So like oftentimes we'll hit up like Ella Studio, like Steven Serrato from Ella Studio, ask him so many questions. Hey, we need to know, like, we have so many questions about this, and this, and they're so generous to like kind of help us.
Yeah.
And they have been over the past few years.
Generosity is key on every front.
I mean, you touched on something there which I wanted to touch on. I'm sure people know this about you, but it feels like collaboration is such a huge part of what you do. The list of artists and designers that you've worked with over the years is pretty awe-inspiring. I guess, yeah, what do you think collaborating does kind of bring to your work, collaborating particularly across, disciplines and across different outputs as well?
We think that the most important thing is just sort of this friendship, like network of people that you can kind of count on, or email, or sort of champion what you're doing, and then you can kind of do the same for them. Obviously the project is really fun. Those are like great memories, but meeting people through projects is really just so nice.
Yeah, I mean, and at the very beginning, to be quite frank, we felt somewhat, I don't want to say isolated, but we were here in Utah. We felt like maybe outside of some of these bigger cities where it was harder for us to maybe meet people. Collaborations was kind of an easy way in a few years back, and has really kind of stemmed, like JP was saying, a bunch of these relationships and friendships that we now have that have continued, that we're constantly still working with a lot of the people that we featured in Shoplifters and some of our other projects.
Fantastic. I mean, I guess it's interesting. You kind of mentioned Shoplifters there. I think that's probably one of the things that a lot of our audience will know. And I guess it's also one of those passion projects which we were talking about before. And you talked about it as a kind of necessary outlet for your creativity as well. I'm really keen to hear kind of how you work on the publication alongside everything else. It sounds like from what you said earlier, it's a challenge.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge.
But it's really just about scheduling time. You'll never have any time if you don't kind of put it on the calendar. But it's funny that we're talking about this right now, because this is something that we've been putting off for a couple months. This has been on the calendar and we haven't got to it yet, our next issue. So it's like kind of burning up the to-do list. It's really sitting on top. and we haven't been able to kind of really focus on it yet. But that we're missing our own deadlines at all times.
But we appreciate the gentle reminder. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, they're the easiest ones to put off, guys, and I'm here to kind of, you know, just make sure that you stick to the deadlines. I mean, I guess there's one thing, you know, yeah, you kind of talked about shoplifters there, and I think I'm just curious how many times something that you've tried out or, you know, experimented with in that publication has then gone on to feature in another project. I mean, you know, there must be quite a good dialogue between some of the more commercial work that you do and that thing that you do, which is basically a passion project for you guys.
It's definitely been like the way that we learn about the craft of bookmaking. You know, our issues have definitely come a long way since the beginning, kind of understanding that process. And so we definitely bring that to our client work. But we were saying, we think that a lot of kind of client work that gets missed or maybe like put aside, or like
ideas that we've had with other projects, we're like, oh, well, I mean, I guess if they don't like this idea, we still like it, and like maybe we can use it in shoplifters.
Recycle that crap.
Recycle that, yeah. I think also like one of the biggest things was, I think, benefits for us from shoplifters, experimentation wise, is more actually just learning about the printing process and who we're using as printers. We've kind of we've probably used 5 different printers to the point that we're at now, and every single time it's like a learning process, and we've kind of figured a lot more out, and that's kind of been the best learning experience, I think, on our end.
It's a lifelong pursuit, though, for sure. Just kind of constantly learning about production and research, like how to be the best and have the most knowledge about how to make the best thing.
Fantastic. I mean, on the publication side, I think it's fair to say one of the kind of more interesting clients you've had in recent times is A24, which I think for any film lover would be a dream client. I guess, yeah, what's your approach been with them on the work that you've created for A24? It feels like, I don't know, just like a fascinating project to have been doing for so long.
Definitely a dream client. But I think a lot of the successes also comes from A24. We work with Zoe over there, who's their creative director,
Zoe Byer. What's up, Zoe?
Yeah, what's up, Zoe? Shout out to Zoe. Who's, I mean, she's kind of the mastermind behind a lot of what we've done.
She's got vision, yeah. And like she just kind of cold emailed us because she saw that we were pursuing the type of projects that she was trying to pursue with the A24 shop. So like apparel and different products and books. And then she had this idea to do these screenplay books. And then together we kind of figured out the format and kind of how we wanted to treat each book. And then this kind of developed into this beautiful working relationship. And we've been really lucky to keep going with that. In fact, we have a book released today with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a new Hereditary book became available. So we're really, really excited.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few of those kind of publications. They look just so stunning. I guess that kind of leads me on to my next question, which is, what are you working on now? I mean, it sounds like you've just put to bed that one. What's coming up that you can kind of tell us about? Anything we should keep an eye out for or get excited about?
I mean, we've talked about Shoplifters. We're working on the next 2 issues of Shoplifters.
Two, yeah.
Very slowly, issues 10 and 11, which we're very excited about. Also, actually, some A24 books that can't really talk about what we're working on, but I think over the next year, there's some really good stuff that will be coming out through that as well.
Yeah, a lot of publications and different branding projects, and then yeah, stuff for us too. We have carved out a little time for new apparel projects, things that are coming in the fall, which is really fun for us.
Okay, amazing. Well, listen, guys, I think, unfortunately, I mean, we could chat for ages, I'm sure, but unfortunately, I think we're out of time. But thank you so much for your time and for answering our questions.
Thank you.
Great to see you guys, and thanks so much for joining. And amazing to see all that work as well, kind of flowing past our eyes.